This podcast may contain adult language, adult situations, spoilers, and some brief nudity, so parental guidance is suggested.
We have such sights to show you.
After about 5 minutes of this movie, you're gonna wish you had 10 beers.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Oh, well. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
Welcome back to the Cinema Recall Podcast. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cinema Recall Podcast. I am your host, the Vern. Thank you so very much for watching, subscribing, listening, all that you are doing. Today is a very special episode because we are discussing all three of the Paddington movies, and I am so grateful and happy to have these two amazing ladies with me. To my right or to my left, I'm not quite sure exactly how this is going to appear. I've got Caitin Durante from the Bechdel podcast. Hello, Caitin.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. And I have Amy Thomason from Women Insession. Hello, Amy.
Hello. It is wonderful to be here, especially for these movies.
It is a very big honor. Big shout out right now to Chris Revel over at the Hey Rody podcast for actually getting your name, Caitin, into the mix, because I was going to have Chris on our episode, and Chris is like, oh, I'd love to, but you know it'd be really good is Caitin from the Bechdel cast. And I said, all right, sweet, very cool.
And here I am.
Well, thank you very much. Since you are both new to our show, I'm going to start with you, Amy. Tell our listeners all about Women in Session and what you do on there, and just plug away.
We are a group of women who have very strong opinions on films. We cover a variety of topics. We've done literature to film. We just recorded one last night on Marilyn Monroe and her designer. And we just have a lot of fun. We just talk about kind of whatever we're passionate about at that particular moment.
I do want to check out the one you recently recorded about costume designer Edith Head.
Yes, we had a really good time with that one.
Because that would be a good one. And I love the fact that you have covered some of my cinema crushes like Emma Stone and Demi Moore and a whole bunch of other great actors and actresses, and it's good stuff.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah. And you can definitely find them over at insessionfilm.com. Caitin and the Bechdel cast. I know about the Bechdel rating for movies, and I'm hoping that maybe at the end of this show you can tell me if it passed the Bechdel scale or not. But tell listeners who do not know about the Bechdel scaling and the Bechdel cast, please share with our listeners about the show.
Happy to do it. So, yes, I am one of the co-hosts of the Bechdel cast, which is named after the Bechdel test, which very briefly is a media metric that passes if a movie has two women in the movie who talk to each other about something other than a man. That's kind of the most basic version of the test. And we took that basic premise that essentially just examines, are women in a movie and how significant are their roles? And we just use that as a springboard and examine movies through an intersectional feminist lens. So we're going beyond, the representation of women. We're also talking about race, class, sexuality, all manner of things. But that's the Bechdel cast in a nutshell. And very recently we had as a guest Alison Bechdel, who the Bechdel test is named after, as a guest on our show. So that was a very exciting episode.
Oh, very cool. That's very exciting. I need to ask you this, Caitin. The most recent movie, Nora, that won a bunch of awards, did that pass the Bechdel cast, the Bechdel scale?
The Bechdel test? You know what? I wasn't watching it through that specific lens, and when I don't deliberately watch it with that in mind, I often uh I'm not paying attention to that. I think if it's so actually no, she talks to her colleagues
Mhm.
at the club quite a bit. I do think they're often talking about men. They're talking about like, the rich guy that she ends up marrying, or they're talking about some other client or customer or whoever. It might pass in passing,
Okay.
but again, I wasn't paying very close attention.
Because I never really noticed they talk about men to try and win like men's approval. They talk about men as just about their clients and whatnot. They're not trying to seek any
True,
approval
and
or
to me there are
gratification.
like many caveats,
Sure.
kind of. I'll jokingly, but I'll be like, "Oh, if a woman talks about how much she hates men, that kind of passes the Bechdel
But
test."
that's okay. Fair enough.
For me, at least.
Sure, sure. Uh, well, we do have a section of our show before we get talking about the Paddington movies, thing we like to call Rage Corner. Rage Corner is brought to us by our fine gents over at the Film Rage podcast, and this is where we can rage happily or angrily about anything going on with the movies right now. And Amy, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to start with you. All right? Do you have anything you can rage about?
Something I would rage about, speaking of Honora, I was not a fan of that movie, and I was very angry that it won so many awards this year.
Oh, that's okay. Fair, fair, fair enough. And trust me, I've got a lot of friends who feel the same way that you do too, and they were just like very disappointed, especially like with the it being all the substance and Demi Moore, and yeah. So I can. Were you a Demi Moore fan?
I was, and I sort of have a love-hate relationship with the Academy Awards. I love it, I follow it, I memorize all the trivia for it, but every year where I really love a movie, that movie always gets completely shut out. Banshees of Inisherin, The Wolf of Wall Street, Killers of the Flower Moon. I
Sure.
loved these movies, and they totally got shut out. And so this year, when I watched Denora, and I was like, seriously? This movie? And because of my distaste for it, I told people, bet on it. It's going to sweep because it's the movie I'm most passionate about this year. It's just in this case, I really didn't like it. And she reminded me of a character from Jersey Shore.
Okay. Fair enough.
So there
So
was that.
I will say this though. So future Oscar predictions. If it's a movie that you hate, it'll probably win a bunch of awards. Is that what you're
Oh,
saying?
it's gonna sweep. It's absolutely
Okay.
gonna sweep. And I knew it. I knew it was gonna win. And people were like, no, Demi Moore might still win. And I thought, no. But it's like I have a love hate relationship. I'll go back next year. I get disappointed year after year, but each year I go back thinking maybe this will be the year that someone I love, something I love, and I'm passionate about, will finally get its due. But alas, it is not to be.
The Oscars are our own abusive relationship that we keep going back to, no matter what. Very good. Caitlin, do you have anything to rage about? Happy, sad, angry?
Yeah, I'll rage happily
Okay,
just because I'm trying to stay positive in these dark times.
please do.
Um, I'm gonna rave maybe even about like indie comedies of the 2020s so far, and how there are so many ones that I think are so terrific. They are mostly falling under people's radars because they're not getting enough marketing and stuff like that. But there have been so many incredibly funny movies that have come out in the past 5 years that I want to tell people about, and even movies that aren't necessarily specific comedies, specifically comedies. Maybe it's like an action movie with humor in it or whatever. I feel like just the state of comedy in cinema has gotten good again, where for a long time I felt like it was very bad. And I can give examples if you'd like,
Please,
but
yeah, please do. I like movie recommendations.
sure. Well, I mean, the one that everyone's talking about right now is Friendship. Um, starring Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd,
Yeah.
which I thought was very funny. I love, oh my gosh, even in the past few years, the movie Thelma, the
Oh, I love
movie,
Thelma.
it's
Th-
so good.
Thelma was really good. Friendship, I don't know. That was a little strange movie for me. It almost felt like all the awkwardness things I've had talking with new people at parties. I'm like, damn it, this is me. This is so like me right here. Oh, this is just really awkward stuff. That's how I act, and I just wasn't understanding a lot of it right there. It was just dark and dry, but not the dark and dry that I wanted. I guess I don't know. I don't know about the directors of the projects or what he's done before. So this is like my first introduction to him at all. So yeah.
For me, it was I'm a fan of Tim Robinson's work. I love I Think You Should Leave and stuff like that. So and a lot of people are saying that this movie is just like an extended I Think You Should Leave sketch, which I tend to agree with. But yeah, I was generally a fan of that movie. I laughed a lot. And other movies in recent years that I have just I just thought were a hoot were things like Dick's the Musical, theater camp, polite society.
Oh, I love Play
Uh,
Society.
oh, so good, so fun. American Fiction, I thought was so
That
funny.
was really.
The Blackening, I thought was so funny. The kind of biopic, sort of like fictionalized biopic for Kneecap that came out last year is super
Never
funny.
came here. I think it was here for maybe like a weekend, and then it was gone.
Oh, well, I think it's on Netflix. It's quite accessible. So,
Okay.
it's around. Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar,
Yeah, good one.
hilarious. Bottoms, great films coming out in the comedy department.
Good stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, my rage goes on the more of like the confusion scale because I just recently saw the new Wes Anderson movie, the Phoenicians team, the Phoenicians team. I don't know exactly how to
Phoenician,
pronounce
I
it,
think.
Nishan?
which is thank you, Phoenician. All right. Benicio del Toro, Michael Cera, Scarlett Johansson. Um, I don't even know exactly what the movie's about, and it's funny. I had to have my co-host and friend Ashley tell me about the plot of the movie, and I'm like, "That was the plot of the movie? I completely missed that." Because I thought it was about this really rich guy, Benicio del Toro. He's going from business to business with his new daughter, a strange daughter. She's a nun, and they're trying to take over all these businesses to try to close the gap. And I don't know if they're trying to con these guys or buy them out. I'm just very confused. And then there's all these assassins trying to kill him. Um, the sets are pretty, and that's all I can say. It's a first actually. I got a review for this, and I'm like, I don't know exactly where to begin. And I missed the Wes Anderson where he used real settings and not these stage settings that he has. It's like he's making these movies for stop motion animation but putting real actors in it. And I don't like it so much. I want him to go back to use like real settings like he did for the Royal Tenenbaums and Rushmore, and even to a certain point, the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and even the Desjardins Limited as well. But it's like once he got into the Grand Budapest Hotel and further on, everything had to be like a set, and I don't know. I'm just getting kind of tired of it. Once SNL parodied his movies in that brilliant short,
That was so funny and so accurate. I loved it.
exactly, like make a movie like that. Like do something outside of a wheelhouse. All right, I would love a thriller from Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
Just
Um,
just something completely out of the range different there. So yeah,
yeah, move aside, Wes Craven. It's time for another Wes.
exactly.
To
I mean, Wes Craven has done other things besides like horror, and I know that Wes Anderson is known for one movie, just do something completely different. If Wes Craven could do like a family drama with Meryl Streep, come on, Wes Anderson, you can give us a horror film.
Wait, what was that movie?
Oh, that movie he did, One from the Heart.
Oh my gosh, I never saw it.
I think that's the name of it. Viewers, if I'm wrong, tell me. But I thought it was like From the Heart, something like that. I
believe you. I haven't encountered it.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, it's like gosh, Wes Anderson, Meryl Streep. I could swear, no, Wes Craven. I was looking at Wes Anderson, Meryl Streep, Wes Craven.
Music of the Heart?
Music. That's it. Music of the Heart.
Okay.
He directed that?
Yes, Wes Craven directed Music of the Heart.
Where she's like a music teacher.
Yes.
What?
Huh. Gloria Stefan is in it. Angela Bassett, Aidan Quinn. Wow.
You know, Wes Craven also directed Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy. So I mean,
yes,
the man.
He's got range.
Got a range there. So I'm saying Wes Anderson, just broaden your range a little bit. That's all I'm trying to say, bud. Very cool. All right, we're gonna get into our conversation and talk about the Paddington movies. And hey, for the next few minutes, folks, you're gonna see our faces while I play some wonderful ad spots from our amazing podcast shows. You should definitely check out. We'll be right back. All right.
We got to take a short break, but Cinema Recall will be right back after these ad spots.
Hello again, me popsicles, and welcome to Season 2 of Science Fiction Remnant.
Go ahead and grab your multipass, a drink, and sit back with us and geek out about sci-fi.
Let's pick each other's brain. We want you to be part of our intimate conversation about science fiction topics.
And hang around to the end of the episodes for the real-world science that was inspired by your favorite science fiction.
Let's do this. Let's talk about science fiction topics in books, movies, TV shows, and games.
At Science Fiction Remnant, you are invited to listen in.
Listen now on Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, Anchor,
Audible, GoodPods,
or whatever you listen to podcasts.
You can catch the video pods on our YouTube a month later.
And don't forget your multipass, you me popsicles.
Science Fiction Remnant is brought to you by the hashtag This Is Sci-Fi. No Capone cuties were harmed in the making of this commercial. Ba, 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 ba.
All right. Thank you very much. That was from our Gens over the Science Fiction Remnant podcast. Please check out my guest spots on their episodes talking about the film Maiden, or as I call it, Mathreedin. That was a fun episode we did. Look for that one. But we are here, Cinema Recall, and I do want to mention one more thing too, folks. Please check us out over on our Patreon page. If you're a Patreon member, patreon.com/Cinema Recall Pod. You will get episodes early before anyone else, so definitely check that out. But we're back here talking about the Paddington movies, and before we break down each one here, I just want to ask you both just about your history of Paddington. Do you know anything about Paddington before you watch these movies, or just jump in there, anyone?
When
Amy,
I was
take it
little,
away.
I read the books, and I always thought that I did. I think I had a stuffed Paddington bear, so I always really liked it. I didn't see the first one when it came out, but my daughter is obsessed with the second one. She has special needs, and it's one of those movies that she likes to watch over and over and over and over again. And then I think we watched the other ones, but it was even if we ever put on the first one, she would hand you the remote back because she only wanted to watch the second one. So I've seen the second one countless times over the years.
I mean, it is known as being probably the best one in the series there. Caitlin, any history with Paddington?
Yeah, I don't think I read the books really as a kid or anything. I was familiar with Paddington, but I think I was more of I lived in a Winnie the Pooh household. Corduroy Bear was another. There were so many little bears, but Paddington just wasn't one of them as far as what I was reading as a child, but the first movie came out in was it 2014?
2014, yes.
2014. I don't think I saw it till 2015, but I I was hearing like whispers of just people being like, "Yo, that Paddington movie's like pretty good. Like it's kind of weirdly good. No one was expecting it, but it's," and so I was like, "Huh, interesting." So I watched it and I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're right. It is so good." And so I was watching it pretty regularly, and so by the time the second one came out, I was like a hardcore Paddington fan. I had already been telling all of my friends, like, these Paddington movies are pretty good, and I have pretty high hopes for the second one. I saw it in theaters 4 times. It was the best movie I've ever seen. It, like, just from a screenwriting, storytelling point of view, because I tend to study film less through kind of technical aspects, even though these movies do a terrific job in terms of like production design and cinematography and direction and things like that. But I'm like studying things from just a narrative point of view. And Paddington 2 is a masterclass in so many like screenwriting devices and tools and things like that. So I was like, and just like the feelings, the emotions. Oh, I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. But one of the best movies I've ever seen. And then, of course, I was kind of cautiously optimistic about Paddington in Peru. I did see it in theaters a week before it was even released widely. There was like a special screening that I went to, and I was ready to be kind of disappointed, and I wasn't. I still think it's a very good movie, even though there were some casting changes. There were changes in who wrote and directed the movie. So I was like, oh no, they're going to ruin it. But I don't think they did. I think they still did a pretty good job with Paddington in Peru. So overall, it is a wonderful trilogy. And yeah, Paddington 2 might be the best film ever made. There, I said it.
I agree with statements right there. Growing up, our family was more of a Bernstein Bears.
Oh, that one too, yeah.
Type of family.
I had all those.
So we kind of grew up with that. I know we had a Paddington stuffed bear, and I know there's some few books around, but I didn't read it much. It was almost like that. I don't know if you remember these books. Aunt Abdelia, if I'm saying that right, I'm probably wrong. But there's like these books of this aunt, and she's called Aunt Abdelia. And like I said before, I'm totally wrong, and I'm just thinking about this right now as we're recording. So, listeners, if you're above the age of like 43 right now, close to your 50s, if you remember a book called Aunt Abdelia, please let me know. All right, so I don't feel like I'm losing my mind. But let's do this right now. Let's just play a quick TV spot from the original Paddington, and we'll give you our thoughts about the first Paddington movie.
Good morning.
A talking bear? Amazing.
I'm a very rare bear.
Oh? Here we go. On January 16, the forecast calls for rising excitement.
I think I've got the hang of things.
Flying animals.
Awesome.
And flash flooding. From the producer of Harry Potter.
Come on, Paddington. Leave it to me.
Get ready, because adventure...
It's actually quite good fun.
...is in the air.
Wind, hot wind.
Paddington.
Well, I hope I don't look weird.
Rated PG.
All right, so after a deadly earthquake destroys the home in a Peruvian rainforest, a young bear makes his way to England in search of a new home. The bear, dubbed Paddington for the London train station, finds shelter with the family of Henry and Mary Brown. Although Paddington's amazement at urban living soon endears him to the Browns, someone else has their eyes on him. Taxidermist Millicent has designs on the rare bear and his hide. This film stars Sally Hawkins as Mary Brown, Henry Bonneville as Henry Brown, Madeline Harris as Judy Brown, Julie Walters as Miss Bird, Nicole Kidman as Millicent, and Samuel Jocelyn as Jonathan Brown. First of all, let's kind of talk about Ben Whishaw as the voice of Paddington. Great job.
Nails it.
Agreed. And In children's films, the voice of the character really can make or break a movie. I was raised on Charlotte's Web, the one where Debbie Reynolds is Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever voiced Wilbur in that movie always stands out as awful to me. And it's such a great movie, but his voice always really kind of grated on me. And with Paddington, it's hard because he has to be a blend of sweet and loving and very, very charming and also naive, but also have a really good sense of humor. It's such a deceptively simple role, and I think he totally nails it.
The
And I
part
love
that
it.
absolutely agree. The part that always sells it for me is when him and Henry Brown are talking either at a restaurant or whatnot, and Henry's trying to sound like a bear, trying to pronounce the bear's name, and he's doing the roar, and then Patton's like, "Excuse me, sir. That's a very offensive term where I come from." Just and
Yes,
that
that's very
little
rude.
sweet humor right there, I just thought it just works so perfectly. I don't know, Caitlin, just quick thoughts on Ben Wishaw.
Yeah, no, he's terrific. The main thing I had seen him in previously was uh, the Bond films that Daniel Craig plays Bond in, because he's, I think, there's the character named Q. Um,
Oh,
that's him.
that's
Yeah, but
him.
then also, yeah, that's him.
Okay.
Um, but even before that, I saw this movie called Perfume, Portrait of a Killer or something like that, and it's like he plays like a serial killer in it, and he in the movie ends in this like huge orgy in a town square. It's like it's such a wild movie. And then when I found out that he's the voice of Paddington, I was like, oh my gosh. Speaking of range, this actor's got it. But anyway, no, I think he does the performance so well to the point where um oh my gosh, what is the guy's name? Colin Firth um was originally cast to voice Paddington and had recorded most, if not all, of his lines, but they were like, he sounds too old in a way that might have been ageist. I'm not sure, but they were like, he just didn't quite get it. He didn't nail the role, and so they kind of fired him and recast Paddington. And I'm glad they did, because I think Colin Firth wouldn't have been quite the right choice for that. So
And I agree with
yeah,
you. I don't know if it's ages. He sounds too much like a man. And Paddington is
yeah,
supposed to have a level of childlike about
he's a
him
boy.
and
He's a
innocent.
small boy bear.
Exactly. He's
Which
full of
does make it
love.
confusing because Ben Whishaw is audibly an adult man, but he does play it with this enough of a like childlike innocence and naivete that it still works. But I think a lot of people have watched these movies and they're like, how old is Paddington supposed to? Is he a child? Is he a young man? Like, what's going on? But no, I think yeah, he's a small boy
That's
bear.
Like
that's
a little
crazy. That
pug.
I'm curious though. That movie Perfume that you mentioned, does he sound like
Mhm.
Paddington? If I close my eyes, will I see Paddington doing all these murders?
God, I
I
hope not.
don't think so. I don't
Okay.
remember the movie very well. It's been over a decade since I've seen it, but I feel like he's doing a different enough of a performance where you don't have to like accidentally hear a
Well,
serial killer Paddington.
uh, and this movie does feature one of my favorite actors, Sally Hawkins. You
Hmm.
know her from Shape of Water, Blue Jasmine, Happy Go Lucky, uh, as Mary Brown. Uh, just love her in this. She's like very much like she writes adventure stories in this, and
Mhm.
I know in this movie, um, Henry is a little bit timid about things. He used to be like this daredevil, uh, wild guy with a motorcycle and everything, and now he just wants to do everything to protect the kids.
And
And when
cautious.
Paddington comes in, he's feeling very like off by it because he doesn't believe that Paddington should be there and wants to get rid of him. But right away, Mary and the kids they just seem to warm up to him right away, and it seems like the first movie is essentially a fish out of water story where Paddington doesn't quite fit in. It happens with the other movies too, but I think more in this one. And I think with this movie, having him try to connect with all the different family members is where the heart really beats for me in this one. I mean, I do remember watching this and having a lot of moments like, oh, oh, damn, all right, I'm gonna tear up on this. I'm totally gonna tear up in this film. But I would
Totally.
kind of ask you, were there any particular moments with this Paddington Bear? Because these actors are all kind of like acting against someone who isn't there. All right. And I think they all do a great job. Even the two kids who I don't believe they've been in any other movies besides this one. Madeline, oh, sorry, what I had a name down here. Yeah, Madeline Harris and Samuel Jocelyn. But I thought they all just did an amazing job.
They
and I
did,
thought Nicole
because
Kidman played a good villain too.
oh my gosh, the villains of these movies are always like the standout role to me, but yeah, everyone, the performance is overall incredible. The kids are surprisingly not horrible child actors, the way that many child actors
Yep.
are. But no, they're crushing it, especially because, like you said, they're probably acting opposite a pile of tennis balls or
Yes.
whatever like random object that they had. And I actually should I haven't seen like production stills of this movie or any like images that would indicate what, if anything, they were acting opposite of, like what the like placeholder for Paddington was, if anything. Because they usually there's like something there because they need to know where to look to like match eye lines and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know what was there, but they kill it. And then yeah, Nicole Kidman plays a great villain.
I
Yeah.
think what helps with the kids is that they're not little.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you had
True.
younger kids, kids are always directed, with rare exceptions, they're directed be cute. We have Paddington. You're not going to out cute Paddington.
That's true.
So it
Yes.
helps that the kids were a little older and that they were at the age of, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. Oh my gosh, this is so weird. Oh my, and that embarrassment really fit. And then they kind of got over themselves and were charmed by the bear. And I think that was a very smart decision. The scene where, not to jump ahead, but with the second one, because again, with my daughter, we would have it on and then like we would go about our business and do whatever. We didn't sit down with her the first time that she watched it. So finally, when we did, I remember my ex-husband laughing and he's like, this movie is way more funny than it actually needs to be. He was like,
So
this movie is
funny.
legitimately funny. And it doesn't need to
Oh,
be. And it's true. And so when we watched the first one, because she finally let us watch one of the other ones, the scene where they meet Paddington and Hugh Bonneville is so like, oh, well, there you go. Oh, you're homeless. Oh, well, what you gonna do? And he's so blasé about it. It's just, he's
yeah.
so funny. And I was laughing and I'm like, why am I laughing at this? This isn't it's not a comedy for grown-ups, and it's not even uber sophisticated, but just the fact that he was so like, oh, I'm homeless. Oh well, okay, let's go,
Yeah.
Mary. And he's so, and then you have Sally Hawkins, who, and this is really embarrassing to admit, feel free to judge, I didn't know that she was British. The first time I saw her was in Blue Jasmine, and this might have been like the second, and then I saw her in Shape of Water, where she doesn't speak.
Yep.
And then I
Right.
saw
Yep.
this and I thought, but after seeing Shape of Water, it makes sense of why you would cast her. She has
Yes.
such a loving, soothing, warm presence. And she's the kind of person, like, if I had a bad day, like, I would love for Sally Hawkins to, like, hold me and stroke my hair and tell me that everything's going to be okay.
Like, when she, when they leave Paddington at that station there too, and she goes up and like talks to him, like, oh yeah, that gave me all the hard feelings right
and
there
very
too.
soft and very like, hello
Yep.
there. And how you don't really
Yeah.
see her, you just see the bottom of her coat. And again, while Yubon was like, oh well, we must be going now. And just, oh my God, I don't know why I think that scene is so funny, but
Well,
I was laughing very, very hard. I think that's my favorite scene of the movie. And then
this
Nicole
movie
Kidman is just
does.
over the top. I always love Nicole Kidman. She always delivers, no matter how silly or whatever she needs to be. She's gonna do what she needs to do, and she's
I
always
always
good.
feel like this movie has like a lot of like good droll, dry British humor to it. Even with the scenes with Peter Kaplan as one of the like, grumpy neighbors in this one too.
Oh, the neighbors! I want to live in that world. I want to live in their
I
neighborhood.
that is like just a beautiful town, and even all the eccentricities with the neighbors and stuff that just be a lot of fun, and I completely just enjoy that. I enjoyed how kind of dark it gets with whole taxidermy. Madeline's the Nicole Kidman's character want to basically have a stuffed Paddington bear, which is dark because we've owned stuffed Paddington bears, and I felt the way they kind of like established that to be kind of creepy and fun and weird in a way. But I felt this movie definitely gets at the heart of Paddington because you need to build up that character to make his journey much more like heartfelt because he's basically just trying to find a way to get back home and find out who his family is, and that's what the crust of the first movie's plot is Paddington, he wants to try to like find out who he is and where he belongs, and it turns out he belongs with the Brown family. That's his family that he should be with. Because after his accident, or after he got shipped away, his Aunt Lucy puts him in a boat, and he's there by himself, doesn't know anyone. Aunt Lucy is at the retirement home for bears. So essentially, we got Paddington just trying to find out who his family is, and throughout the adventures and struggles, he finds out his family's with the Browns, and Henry Brown warms up to him, and he solves the problems with the other kids and everything. Judy is no longer embarrassed about things, so she's able to have a boyfriend come over and be fine with it. So, yeah. The movie
and there's this beautiful
made $318 million on a budget of around $54 million. I forgot to mention the director's name, directed by Paul King. Got pretty good ratings overall, critics wise. Any other things about Paddington before we move on? Did I miss anything? I'm not going to go through the whole plot of each movie here, but just anything you want to bring out that I missed?
I just want to shout out the allegories that are present within these movies, and it's not as though you like have to dig really deep to find them, but to me this allegory about like immigration and racism is layered into the first movie, where literally Paddington is displaced by a natural disaster and has to immigrate to a new country, the way that this happens to people in real life all the time, and he has to find a home, and he is worried about people, whether they're going to accept him or not. He says, what if they don't even like bears? And that scene in Paddington Station where the Brown family approaches him, prior to that you see him trying to engage with people, and everyone's very dismissive of him, and just the way that like immigrants in a country are often dismissed or overlooked, or any manner, just marginalized in general. Any manner of mistreatment is directed at them. So, yeah, and then you have like Peter Capaldi, aka Mr. Curry, the neighbor, like being outwardly racist to Paddington, and yeah, so there's just this interesting allegory layered into this movie. It's less present in the second one because that movie is an allegory for the prison industrial like prison reform, basically. But yeah, just wanted to shout out that I think the reason these movies are so effective and so heartfelt and tugging at our emotional heartstrings is that these really, I don't know, just like universally relatable themes and kind of allegorical experiences are layered into the stories in
And
really beautiful ways.
isn't it also based on history though? It's actually inspired by displaced children in World War II, I think. Because
There's allusions to that, yeah.
yeah, that they had that, and I remember reading that was like what inspired the author to write the book, is these children that he would see, and it is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's really great, Caitlin. And I like the fact there too that no matter what goes on through like Paddington's life, Paddington always keeps like a cool head on his shoulders right there. And the only time he ever gets really upset is with Henry Brown, and he gives him that a hard stare. And I love like Henry going, "What's going on here? Is it warm here? It's supposed to be very warm here. Why does it get warm here? What's going on here?" Give me the hard stare. It's when someone forgets to use their manners, and I can't. I'm not going to do that stare. Yeah, you can't.
I'm a middle school teacher. I have given hard stares before.
You give hard stares. All right. What is your hard stare? Can you give us a hard stare? Oh, that's good.
Sometimes it's more like a are you seriously doing that? Because after 21 years of teaching, I'm just like, why are we making this decision right now? An exasperated stare.
An exasperated stare. Okay, all right. But that also made me feel like I was like just doing something wrong with the podcast here. So appreciate that, Amy. All right. Well, let's give like our ratings for the first Paddington before we move on to the second Paddington. Scale of like 1 to 5 jars of
orange marmalade.
Marmalade. Why am I blanking on the name? I just bought marmalade earlier today too. Yes. Marmalade.
I'll give it
jars of marmalade. Would you give it?
4.75 out of 5 jars of marmalade.
Okay. And how about you, Amy?
I would give it 3.75.
Okay, 3.75. All right. And myself, I am giving it about. I'm still gonna go like a 4.6. I think this is absolutely lovely, and I will rewatch it again because hey, Nicole Kidman's great. Sally Hawkins. It definitely for me has a lot of the feels in this movie too that I get, all warm and hearty and lovable. So yeah, about 4.6 I would give that. And now let's go ahead and just play a quick ad spot for the second Paddington.
Yes, it's Paddington. The reviews are in.
Did they like it? Did they say anything? What did they say?
Come and look. Paddington 2 is the perfect family movie. A delightful sequel. Brilliantly clever.
This is breaking and entering. We haven't broken anything.
It's fabulous and funny. Come in. Take a seat. Paddington 2, now playing. Rated PG.
All right. Released in 2017, Paddington 2. Settled in with a Brown family, Paddington the bear is a popular member of the community who spreads joy and marmalade wherever he goes. One fine day, he spots a pop-up book in an antique shop, the perfect present for his beloved aunt's 100th birthday. Wow. When a thief steals the prized book, Paddington embarks on an epic quest to unmask the culprit before Aunt Lucy's big celebration. Of course, returning are the members of the Brown family, Sally Hawkins, Henry Bonneville, Madeline Harris, Julie Walters, Samuel Jocelyn. But we have some new cast members. We have Hugh Grant and, oh gosh, I wrote this name down here. Brendan Gleeson is in this cast. Hugh Grant is like this very kind of like charming actor who we realize is trying to find this picture book because there's a treasure map in this pop-up book where he can get a bunch of treasures to, I guess, revitalize his career again, because at the start of the movie, poor our guy, he's just doing dog food commercials. And that's
hilarious.
But he's like this master of disguise, so that he can dress up as all these different people and no one can recognize who he is right away. Yeah, I like the fact when he dressed up as a nun and goes to get the painting, and everyone's like, well, that couldn't be the guy because we saw a nun over here and that can't be the person. So I'm going all over here. But yeah, Paddington gets blamed for trying to steal a book when he tries to like hunt it down, and he gets sent to prison, and he befriends all of our prison chaps, including Knuckles, played by Brendan Gleeson. Yeah, just wonderful feature. In fact, this is the movie that was featured in that Nick Cage movie, the the unbearable weight of being, with
Of
Pedro
massive
Pascal
talent.
and Nicolas Cage, where they
Mhm.
mentioned, yeah, this is the best movie ever, and I have to agree. Sorry, I'm talking over my guests here. Let's hear some thoughts here from you, Caitlin, on Paddington 2.
Again, such a masterful film, masterfully written, wonderfully shot and directed and performed. And yeah, I mean, like, I teach this in my screenwriting classes because the movie, I mean, it does a really great job of like doling out exposition. It does a really great job of executing plant and payoff, which is effectively like the use of Chekhov's gun. It again, like just from a theme point of view, from an allegorical point of view, character development, all these things, it's just like doing everything exactly right. So I teach it in my screenwriting classes, and yeah, it's so funny. It's just, and then oh my gosh, the crying at the end. Ugh.
Is the Chekhov's gun? Is that the pop up book? Is that what's
No,
the?
it's more like, for example, so I don't know how much you want to avoid spoilers
No, this movie
here.
came out several years ago. If
Yeah,
you have
people have
not
had a
seen these
chance.
movies, I mean, I
That's
thank you
a
for
them
listening
Go
to
watch
us.
problem.
them. Go
But
watch them.
please,
They're all available to watch.
yeah, like seriously,
I
you can
know what
stop
you're
the
talking.
podcast.
I definitely know the things you're talking about. The things that at the beginning seem like, oh, and Mr. Brown's doing this and Mrs. Brown's doing that, and then way at the end, it all
It
comes
all
back
pays off.
around.
So
I
like
was gonna
Mr.
say that.
Brown doing yoga, and then like Mrs. Brown, she's been training to swim across the English Channel, and then Judy, I forget what Judy's doing. Something
The
about the
newspaper.
newspaper.
Yes,
He discovers the printing press.
Yes, and then you've got, oh my gosh, what's the boy's name?
Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan.
He likes trains, but he doesn't want people to
He
know that he likes trains.
Because they're not
yeah,
cool.
they're not
So
cool.
he's not a rap guy now. He's like Be Real Ice or
J-Dog.
J
They
Dog.
called him
Yes.
J-Dog.
Yes. But all of these things, all these little skills that just are presented as like little bits of exposition. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is what everyone's up to now. And the audience doesn't think much of it until it all pays off later. And it's just like, it's very effective use of that, very effective use of just motifs. There's all these motifs that keep popping up throughout the movie, marmalade and, marmalade sandwiches being one of them. Yeah, it's just everything about the screenwriting is perfect.
And
So
yet
good.
it's done in such a subtle way.
So it's
You don't.
done right. It's executed so effectively and so well.
It's just so like, hey, Mr. Brown, since we left off, Mr. Brown's doing this and this and this and this and this, and you're like, isn't it charming? And you're just thinking it's charming and lovely, and then at the end you're like, oh, I
This is
see what you did
genius.
there. Bravo, screenwriters, and every single one of them matters.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, that's masterful.
It's so good.
I would say for some of these actors, it might be some of my favorite performances. Again, it's so funny,
Hugh
and the
Grant.
funny and the charm when he and Hugh Grant. It might be one of my favorite Hugh Grant performances. And as the over the top actor, and when he says, like, when Paddington's on trial and he makes the joke about, like, I know that prison is no laughing matter. I did play in Les Miserables. Like, it's just so funny.
Hilarious.
And then and the world building, how at the beginning the effect he has on everyone, where there's the woman and he always gives her the sandwiches, and he helps the other guy get, the fastest routes around the city, and just how he makes this community a better place without being overly saccharine. And it's such a thin line to be able to
Totally
effectively pull that off, because if it was 1 degree more saccharine, it would almost be unwatchable.
And the thing is
Because
too
it's not preachy.
Oh,
Right.
100%. And with a movie like this that has like a bunch of like different side characters and our main characters, to try to, get them all of their plot points into, essentially like a 90-minute film is very difficult to do. Or hour and 44 minutes, but still, because you got the residents of this town that he's helping, but also when Paddington goes to prison and meets all the prison inmates and everything there too. You're trying to find out things about their backstory, and I love it when they introduce Knuckles as being like this really tough guy and never questioned his food, or you're going to be in big trouble. And Paddington does, in a way, stand up for himself, but he never ever diminishes Knuckles as a person, and just wants to treat him as fairly as everyone else. And it's like his Aunt Lucy said, if you treat people right, the world will be right. I'm paraphrasing that right now. I'm not saying it correctly, and I apologize.
I have it tattooed on my wrist, so allow me to read it to you.
Thank you.
If we are kind and polite, the world will be right.
Yes.
Thank you, Kate.
And
yes, see?
that Knuckles doesn't totally...
You do. Oh, it's epic.
I love it. That he maintains that Knuckles-ness while still clearly getting a heart and kind of becoming a softie. He's still gruff and all that. And he's one of the funniest characters in the movie. He is so good. And I love, like, then Paddington when he's in prison, and one of the first questions he asks is like, hello, would you like to start a garden club? And everyone's all and rough and tumble. And then, he accidentally dyes all the uniforms pink, which is such a great sight gag. And the bonking on the head, and the way that Knuckles mispronounces things, and he's like, no other forms of bonhomie. No one bonks me on the head with a baguette. No bonking. It's just, I cannot. It's so cute, and it just makes me really happy.
Well, I'm curious to ask you this, Amy, because your daughter's like a big fan of this movie. What does she like the best about it?
Well, it's hard, and I mean, my daughter, when I say specials, I mean she's severe. She's nonverbal.
She's nonverbal. Okay.
And yeah, she's nonverbal. She has Down syndrome and severe autism.
Okay.
But what's fascinating is watching her watch the movie, because I wonder, there has to be something about it in that particular one, because someone once babysat her and made the mistake of putting the first one on, and she kept handing the remote to the babysitter to be like, this isn't what I want. And I thought, I wonder what it is. And I remember she's like a mystery, but like I said, it's fascinating. The first, I don't know, 500 times we watched this movie over in a year. Every time the scene with Knuckles came on and she sits at one end of the couch, as soon as he comes on, she would just get off the couch and she'd walk to the back of the living room by the door. And then at the end of the scene, she would go sit back down. And again, it was one of those, because we'd have it on so much, so we wouldn't necessarily pay too much attention to it. But when I finally sat and I thought, I think she's a little frightened. And she didn't cry. She didn't look like she was, but she would always walk to the back of the room. But then she got over it. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but it must be the music and the tones of voices and things like that, because it is really interesting. And she really, and when we were like, oh, good, the new one, or oh, this is a different one we can watch, so we can all finally watch something else, she was very, no, this is the one that we need to watch. And she'll watch the whole thing, and it's very sweet. And just how it appeals to adults, kids, people who are not typical minded. I don't know. I'm trying to find a word, but just
Sure.
neurodiverse.
But it's
folks.
interesting
Yeah.
that I was like, there has to be something about this particular movie, and I think she gets it somehow. And again, I'm not trying to get on a soapbox, so
Okay, no, you're fine.
but
I
that we all enjoy it, and you can actually get a copy of that pop-up book. We have a copy in our house, but she, like I said, she could feel the different characters and everything like that, and it's really interesting. And like I said, my ex-husband, when we were watching it, was like, this movie is way funnier than it actually has to be. Hugh Grant is hysterical. Brendan Gleeson is a hoot and a half when he's chopping up the the oranges. How did you get all those knife skills? You don't want to know. Oh, and I have to just say my other favorite scene, when they're talking about all the different criminals and they all pop up in the window, and
Oh my
Yvonne goes
gosh.
like, "Oh, this bunch of knuckle draggers. How are they going to help us? We can hear you,
You know,
Mr. Brown.
It's so funny.
You press the
comedy
button for the
gold.
light. The microphone is the one over there with the button that says microphone on it." And he goes, "Gentlemen, if I have offended you in any way," I laugh just as hard every single time I watch that scene.
It's brilliant.
Oh, the end.
There is like so much great visual comedy going on in these movies.
Oh, yeah.
When Paddington gets a job to try to earn money for the pop-up book, he does a job as a barber, and he's there with that little electric razor and the cord. It is just brilliant physical comedy just going on, and that scene where he just kind of stuck on the ceiling fan. He accidentally shaves the customer's head and then tries to put marmalade on his head and try to lure
And the
the
guy
hair
ends
back
up being the
on.
judge at his trial. That's good
Yes,
comedy.
Yep.
just the way that each character that introduces adds more to the layers of it. And I know you taught this movie in your screenwriting class, Caitlin, and I would love to know more about that, because you're right, the way it does set up situations and characters, the way it has a payback at the end is really good. I even liked it when Knuckles and his team try to find a way to escape, because there's one moment where the Brown family is trying to prove Paddington's innocence, and in doing so, they missed their deadline to go visit him. And Paddington is feeling very upset. He feels like the family doesn't love him, so he decides to they're gonna break out. But Knuckles does kind of double cross him, and he has that one famous line: "Knuckles does nothing for nobody." And even Knuckles has a turnaround. Yeah, just the way it's kind of building on top of things right there. And I should do a scene by scene deconstruction of it, but I feel like that would just kind of ruin the surprise for people when they see it, because I didn't want to do a whole bit by bit plot deconstruction of the movie. I just want you guys come on and just talk about your favorite moments of this. But you were mentioned earlier, Caitlin, about the plot structure of this and how it kind of builds from one into another. From a writing standpoint, I mean, what is it that makes this different? Because there are so many different genres kind of mixed into this movie, and I think that director Paul King does a very good job of mixing things together, because there are moments when Paddington is being blamed for the crime. It becomes almost like The Fugitive, where he's trying to prove his innocent, and then he
Yup.
gets captured and all the things. So please help us out there with that.
So, I mean, Paul King has a background in comedy. He is known for The Mighty Boosh, which admittedly I have never seen, but it's this beloved comedy series. So he's imbuing basically everything with comedy. But like you said, there's all these other genres and in some cases homages to other specific films. Like there's the moment where he's escaping and going through all like the kind of gears of the clock tower or something, which is a direct reference to a Charlie Chaplin movie. There's another silent film reference where he's on the top of the train toward the end, and it's a Buster Keaton movie called The General. So there's like these little kind of nods to other film and other like very visual, physical comedy films from the silent era. And then speaking of that like train sequence, I just rewatched all of the Mission Impossible movies in anticipation of the most recent one coming out. And basically the whole third act of Dead Reckoning is also the third act of Paddington 2 because they're on a train, they're running back and forth, they're on top of the train, there's all this, hijinks, there's a villain. And in the first Paddington movie, there's a direct Mission Impossible reference where he's at the Natural History Museum trying to climb out of the chimney, the like whatever, I don't, some oven that they kill animals in. I don't know, but he's like climbing up out of it, and it's the same sequence I think as a Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol where he's climbing on the building. It's just all these little homages. But anyway, these movies are a blend of comedy, of a caper film, a prison break, all these things.
Yes, the little musical numbers are adorable. They're so cute.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It almost, when I saw those scenes, it kind of reminds me of Jacques Demy's The Young Girls of Rochefort with all of them in pink right there. I don't know why. There's like this French musical vibe to it that I got when watching it, and also maybe a little bit of like Jailhouse Rock and a little bit of like Gene Kelly, who was also in The Young Girls of Rochefort. Just has like this, vibe to it that I, had fun with.
I just have to give a shout out in case I never get to podcast and talk about this movie again. Okay. Another line that never fails to make me like cry laughter tears is when Paddington looks at Knuckles and goes, "I may look like a hardened criminal, but I really am innocent." And you're like, "Oh my God, Paddington!" A hardened criminal. I don't know why. It absolutely tickles me the way that he says it.
It's that brilliant, dry British humor.
So I have to mention this too. So this movie originally had a 100% rating, where every critic loved the movie, but now it went down to 99% because one guy
some
wrote
edgelord
one bad review. And I'm just going to say this right now. I'm not going to mention your name because we're not that type of podcast that does that. But you sure should have your critics license revoked.
I challenged him to a duel on Twitter back in the day.
No, because even if you're not into like animated movies, maybe you don't like bears. All right, I get it. This movie may not be for everyone, but even if this is not your style of movie, you're gonna find this charming. Like, my brother-in-law is, not a big fan of like kids films or children's films. He just wants to watch action films all the time. And we
Paddington is an action movie.
It is, but he did not think it was going to be an action film when he first started the movie. He's like, all right, fine, kids film. We have once that train sequence happens when they're trying to get the picture book back from Hugh Grant's character, and the part that always makes me feel like, holy crap, really tension and suspense and sadness and overwhelming emotions is when Paddington is stuck inside the box and it goes underwater.
Oh my gosh.
And Mary Brown, swims after him because you mentioned before she's been swimming in that English Channel to have her strength, and she's there with the bear and she's trying to get the things open, and she can't get out there, and just seeing just Paddington's just eyes and Mary's eyes right there, that is my almost like my favorite moment, but it's also my saddest moment. And it's what I'm talking about right now. Tears are trying to well up in my eyes right now because seeing Sally Harkin's eyes and this bear's eyes just and you think, holy crap, are they actually gonna have the bear die? It's like the end of Toy Story 3 or Toy Story 3. I'm like, wait, are they actually gonna do this? No matter how many times I've seen the movie, I'm still going to be like, holy crap, they are gonna let this freaking bear die. Yeah, sorry.
There's that moment there's that moment of surrender where she looks at him, and it's this. It's just like The Shape of Water. I mean, it's this gorgeous moment with so much, and you're like, oh, that's right. Again, this is just supposed to be a kids movie, but she plays it just as seriously, as that movie, and it's beautiful.
This is a screenwriting thing. This is the effective use of dramatic tension, and obviously it's embellished or and reinforced with like the music and the framing and everything like that and the performances, but it is the writers appealing to our emotional brains and having that overpower our like intellectual brains, because our intellectual brains realize, oh, there's no way they're going to kill off the protagonist of this children's movie who's an adorable little bear who we all love. That's probably not going to happen. But our emotional brains, because of the way this tension is handled, our emotional brains think, oh my God, they're going to kill off this little bear who I love. And it's just toying with our emotions in a way that's so effective that overpowers our like logic brain, and our emotions just take over. And in that, it's the same way, like I that's a perfect example in Toy Story 3, when you're like, they're going to kill off all the toys that we love. Same thing with every time I watch Titanic, that tension is handled so well when the ship is approaching the iceberg, and I'm like, even though historically Titanic famously hits the iceberg and sinks, but there's that moment of tension where you're like, maybe they're going to steer away from it. Maybe not this time that I watch it. Maybe it'll miss. But it's that tension that is just like so palpable, so effectively handled. And yeah, Paddington 2 does it perfectly. All the Paddington movies do it very well.
You see, Kaylee, you need to watch Titanic 2, where...
Oh, I've seen it.
Okay, you're ready for now. I have not seen Titanic 2. I thought it was like maybe a ghost ship that takes revenge on people, but I don't know.
No, it's a bad movie that I think Dick Van Dyke's grandson directed and stars in. It's like a B like disaster movie that is not well done, but it's a fun time.
Fun.
Anyway.
Sure, full of laughs and joys, but certainly a lesser movie than our Paddington 2 that we have here. I like you are completely right in this, Caitlin, as like a story perspective. Paddington 2 is better than like Paddington 1. Paddington 1 is a very simple set storyline, but Paddington 2, it takes the plot and does some twists and turns with it, and it envelops your characters a little bit more. It starts off simple as like just Paddington just wants to buy a book for his aunt, and he needs to get a job, and then he gets accused of trying to steal a book even though someone else stole it, and he's trying to prove his innocence, and then it becomes like a crime caper film. And then we got our lovely Henry and Mary Brown, trying to they sneak into that one guy's home to try, like, I think the judge, right? Is it the judge or the neighbor?
No, they go to Phoenix Buchanan, Hugh Grant's house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And when he goes, oh my God, he's a weirdo.
When he goes up to the attic, yeah.
He's all
so
perfectly
funny.
normal. Oh my God, he's a weirdo with all the costumes.
Gosh.
And even at the beginning when Paddington meets the actor and he keeps insulting him without really trying to insult him. Oh, you do dog food commercials. And he goes, well, a man's got to eat. And he goes,
what? Dog
food? And it's
Yes.
It's the funniest movie ever made.
He doesn't mean it that way, but it's
I know, yes.
hysterical.
That's what's so great about it. Like, he's trying to be nice about the whole thing there too, but just
Yes.
it comes up as being cool there. I remember watching this. I don't think I. Yeah, no, I did not get to see this one in theaters, unfortunately. But I do like their little musical sequence at the end of it. All the things that happen to all of our characters at the end of the credits, I thought was really good. I just generally have a fun time with this movie.
Am I the only one that gets emotional when he hugs Aunt Lucy at the end?
Oh no, that's the part where I think everyone is
of course.
bawling their freaking eyes out.
And
they all get their lives back. I also love how they show at the beginning they established how helpful he is in the neighborhood, and then when he's in prison, all of those things start falling apart, and you actually see it. The guy's late for work, and the guy locks himself out of the house, and
you bring
brilliant screenwriting. Yes, Caitlin, you are correct.
You bring up a good point there too, Amy, because Paddington wants to buy this book from Lucy because she's never been able to like see London because she basically had to make sure that Paddington was safe and he mailed her to London to be with his family. So Aunt Lucy's just been away, not being able to see anything of London. So Paddington wants to give her this book to show her all the wonderful things of London. And I liked the scene where he's kind of going through London and showing her everything through like the storybook.
And the music during that section makes me cry.
Yeah.
And at the end, when he feels like he missed her birthday and he feels so awful, oh my God.
And then it's like, we have a surprise for you, Paddington. Your aunt is here and she can see London with her own eyeballs. And then they embrace and you're crying. And then the credit sequence is their little travels through London. Oh.
What's so great about that is because I really thought that we were going to have like an extended scene of him with his aunt showing her places. But I just love the fact that the movie just kind of like ends there with that embrace. And you never see her like seeing all the sights of London because we got to see that originally in Paddington's mind when he's like describing the scenes with all the storybook elements to it though. But you just got that close up with a hug, and then you go into that happy sort of like Callisto Jamaican style songs right there, which I really love.
You see like the scrap
He's washing the windows with his little furry butt.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yes.
And he does it for the neighbor, even though the neighbor's like, I don't want you to, wash my windows. And he goes, perhaps I'll do it anyway. Like, just to be kind.
That's just how kind of heart Paddington is.
And when
so
Chief Bonneville is like, he's made all of our lives better, and oh goodness.
Yeah. Always.
What would Paddington do? That's my religion. Anyway.
I will say that, of course, we, out of obligation, had to buy a jar of orange marmalade, which is sometimes not cheap, and we were all a little disappointed in it.
Okay, marmalade?
It's spicy more than sweet, and I think it threw us all off.
Sometimes it's bitter. Sometimes, there's some extra spice in it. One time, someone, knowing that I love Paddington, for my birthday, bought me like 5 jars of marmalade, and I'm like, I like, very nice gesture. I'm not gonna poo-poo a thoughtful gift, but I was like, the thing is, I don't really like marmalade. I like Paddington, so I had to like figure out what to do with 5 jars of marmalade.
I will say, my sister, who's 3 years older than I am, my mother had gotten her like a little baby T-shirt when she was literally like a year, maybe 2 years old, that has Paddington on it, and we have a picture of her wearing it.
Like this one?
We have a picture.
Oh, look at that!
I've been wearing it the whole time.
It's white
Love
and
it.
it has a little Paddington on it, and we have a picture of her wearing it, a picture of me wearing it, a picture of her daughter who's now in high school wearing it, and a picture of my daughter wearing it. And I have it in my dresser, and it's like our little family heirloom. And it's sweet because it's Paddington, and it never goes out of style. And those coats, I would totally wear that coat and that hat, like, on the daily.
Great stuff there. You are much bigger Paddington fans than I am. I feel like I should not be on this show at all because I know the movies and that's it. I watch them. I love them. I'll definitely rewatch them again. You definitely bring up a good point about all the story elements of this, which makes me want to rewatch this in another eye, like a much more like critical eye, especially about the plot points of this. It's very okay. It's easy to say that I think Paddington 2 is our favorite of the series so far. But let's give our ratings for this one. I'm gonna start right now. I gotta give this one a 10 out of 10. Or screw it. I was gonna go up to 5 marmalade jars here, but I gotta go past the 5 and go up to 10 here. Yeah, I'm going 10 marmalade jars out of 10.
I concur.
Same. There's literally not a weak point in the movie.
Yeah.
It's masterfully done.
And I was rewatching again thinking that, well, there's gotta be a little slow moment here, but no, it's all just cut very well. It's edited perfectly. I wish this was up for more Oscars than it got, and I don't think it got really much of anything.
It was 0.
I'd say Hugh Grant or Brendan Gleeson, honestly. They were so good.
No, I would give it to Sally Hawkins as well. She just had that one moment with the bear, just solidified her to win this for sure. All right. Well, we're going to get into our third one right here, but just be patient. I will be right back, all right?
Get access to episodes early, uncut video footage, and bonus shows by becoming a Patreon member. Go to patreon.com/Cinema Recall Pod, and for just $3 a month, you will help support our independent podcast. Thank you so much, and now back to the show.
Hi, folks. I'm coming there early to say that this episode of Cinema Recall is brought to you by Orange Marmalade. Yes, our Orange Marmalade, loved by bears in London and Peruvian bears as well. Yes, Orange Marmalade, which I bought because it was on sale, and it's the weird thing too is like I mixed this with peanut butter. And it does not go good with peanut butter mixture. But if you have it just on an English muffin by itself, it's not so bad.
Pretty good.
So yeah, But yeah, I had to buy this for this particular episode. So yes, Orange Marmalade right there. We're going to get into the third movie in our Paddington series. Here's our ad spot for Paddington in Peru.
My Aunt Lucy has gone missing. I have to find her.
By plane.
To inflate your life jacket.
I didn't mean now, Paddington.
By boat.
What on earth are you doing? I appear to be driving the boat.
By umbrella.
That was close.
To save his family, he'll have to rediscover his wild side. Paddington in Peru. Rated PG. Lost in the Jungle, February 14th.
The story: when Paddington discovers his beloved Aunt Lucy has gone missing from the home for retired bears, he and the Brown family head to the jungles of Peru to find her. Determined to solve the mystery, they soon stumble upon a legendary treasure as they make their way through the rainforest of the Amazon. Of course, we have most of our returning Brown family, but instead of Sally Hawkins returning as Mary Brown, we have Emily Mortimer in the role, and we are joined by two other actors, Olivia Colman and Antonio Banderas, as our new cast members in this. I love the song that our famed nun sings, the Paddington Peru song. That was actually really a lot of fun. I love very much how this film establishes Antonio Banderas' character as, this guy who really wants to do right for his daughter, But he also is a treasure hunter as well. It seems like, and am I wrong? Does this also connect to the second one with that treasure book and Hugh Grant trying to find the treasures? I thought maybe it did, but I've only seen this movie once and I don't quite know for sure.
I don't think so. Hugh Grant does make a cameo at the very end,
Okay.
but there isn't really any connection between the pop-up book treasure map and because the narrative of the third movie is it seems like maybe Aunt Lucy was looking for El Dorado, the famed, quote unquote city of gold that is of course a myth, but yeah, so that's the thing. And it turns out that wasn't actually happening. The nun disappeared Aunt Lucy. I just rewatched it this morning, so it's pretty fresh in my brain. But it's the nun is secretly a bad guy, and she's trying to find El Dorado herself, as is the Antonio Banderas character. So it's all this hijinks ensuing because, and then the Paddington and the Brown family gets mixed up in the middle of, but yeah, that's the basic story.
Yeah, because I guess this nun comes to him saying, Olivia Colman is like, we can't find your aunt anywhere. Your aunt's gone missing,
Yeah.
and we last heard about her in Peru, and the family has to go on this boat ride. The boat captain is played by Antonio Banderas, and it looks like he wants to be there to help the aunt, but then it turns out that he really wants to try to achieve the treasure, so that he doesn't have to be like a boat captain anymore. And I like the plot element where his daughter is the one that helps tries to like save him, in a way to have him be like a normal father to like love instead of just being this person that wants to rely on riches. The director of this one is Douglas Wilson. I don't know his other films that he's done, but overall, it does have a different type of tone to it. Um, I do want to talk real briefly about Emily Mortimer, who I have liked in other features that she has been in. Like I want to mention real quickly though, because she was in Lars and the Real Girl and Howl's Moving Castle, um, and she isn't bad in this. It just is a different character, and I almost kind of wish they made reference to it though, just a little bit, where Henry Brown says, "Huh, your hair looks different," or "Did you put your makeup on differently?" or just something to establish that it's a new actor, because it did feel off.
And that is the type of joke this movie would make, because it reminds me of a similar joke in Paddington 2, where, well, number one, when they go into Phoenix Buchanan's house, and it's just a bunch of like headshots of Hugh Grant from like the 90s. And then also there's a scene where Mrs. Bird, played by Julie Walters, is saying like actors are the most evil, vile, and selfish and egotistical people on the planet. And it's like, ha ha ha, she's an actor saying this. So it's very like meta humor in that way. So you would think that we'd get a joke like that in Paddington 3, but yeah, I guess they opted not to for some reason.
And I mean, when watching this film about the family that goes on vacation to visit their Aunt Peru, it seems like it'd be a great situation to have all these characters stuck in a boat with some great comedy. And part of me was thinking that are they gonna do the road trip in the way of like National Lampoon's Vacation or Little Miss Sunshine, where like crazy and stuff does happen that is funny with like Paddington trying to drive the boat and he can't. And I mean, I like the fact they brought the same actors to play the kids again, but with adding Emily Mortimer into this group, which should be fine, I don't feel like their character dynamics match. It feels like off in a way that I can't describe.
She's not Sally Hawkins.
Yeah.
And Sally Hawkins brought so much to that character that I loved a warmth and a humor and an intelligence, and she had real chemistry with Paddington.
Well, not only that too,
And
but I felt
Emily Mortimer is like a Timu version of Sally Hawkins.
Yeah, and I feel like cause when Sally Hawkins is the family, she feels like she's like the head of the family.
Yes,
She's the one that
she
kind
has
of
a
makes
warm
decisions.
strength. And
Not just Paddington, but also the other members of like the family in that cast too.
she had a
And
real chemistry with Hugh Bonneville in the second
yeah,
one, where he was feeling old, and you know, he wasn't the guy that could throw the balls and play that game at the carnival, and she's like rubbing his arm, and she's all like, "Hello, Bullseye Brown," and like it was really cute and sweet. And
yeah.
not having that already for me was a strike against the movie. I'm like, oh, it's this woman.
Yeah, I really like Olivia Colman as our kind of like our person we don't know. We know she's bad, but I do like how she does something and then quickly says it's something else because there's another woman there who's trying to do some investigations. And every time she tries to do something where she's spying on someone and then just changes her mind at the last minute. And I think Olivia Colman just has this way of delivering that type of dialogue, which makes it a lot of fun. Especially after seeing her in like The Favorite, the Yargos Lanthimos film, just has this way of, and also she's in that new remake of War of the Roses coming out soon with Benedict Cumberbatch, which looks to be very fun. But that sense of like dry dullness, which I appreciate, especially for like a kids film like so. And then we get to the Antonio Banderas character, who is I don't know, he's fine, but even his character arc, when things change over, it's not quite the same as it was before. I don't know. Caitlin, thoughts about Antonio Banderas and Olivia Colman?
I mean, I thought honestly they both handed in great performances. I agree that the kind of arc for I don't remember Antonio Banderas' character's name, but his whole thing is like he has to learn to be a father and to stop going after gold. And honestly, I feel like there's a lot of men who need to learn that lesson, so I don't even think that it is that. Um, it doesn't even feel that egregious to me because I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of dads in that generation and many generations who could stand to learn a lesson like that. It felt a little cartoonish in this, but also, that's sort of the nature of these movies. So it kind of bothered me on the first watch, but honestly, I liked the movie more the second time
Okay.
I saw it. So it might be worth a rewatch. It's on Netflix right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it honestly, I went into the first viewing of it prepared to be really hard on it because again I was just like, oh, it's gonna be disappointing. It's not all of the same people, and why is Emily Mortimer there? And again, I like her, and I think the big flaw of the movie is that Sally Hawkins isn't there, and I want to know why she didn't come back because she had just worked with Paul King on that Wonka movie, which was a dud and a flop. But I'm like, why aren't you here, Sally Hawkins? But if you can look past that, it's honestly a pretty good movie. I would say on par almost with Paddington 1, maybe just like a tiny step below it. But yeah, it's like bronze medal.
Bronze medal, yes, pretty.
But it still places, it still gets a medal. Yeah, I don't know. The performances overall for the villains, I was loving it. I had a great time with them.
Like, yeah, you point there, Killian. There's not actually any like, it's paced, pretty well, and there's not actually any wrong moments in there. Yeah,
The problem is that Paddington 2 is on such a high pedestal that watching anything in comparison to it is going to feel like it falls short. And I don't think anything would have been able to top, like any sequel to Paddington 2 would have been able to be on par with it, but it's pretty good. It's funny. There's a lot of visual jokes. I feel like some of the jokes don't land quite as well as the first two movies, but again, I was expecting like duds all around, and there's still lots of funny moments. Yeah, like the song that Olivia Colman sings, and there's a nice little Sound of Music homage at the very end of that. So I think they matched the tone pretty well and visually, and it still very much feels like a Paddington movie. I don't know, maybe I'm being too easy on it, but
I didn't really care for it. I think without Hawkins, there was definitely a hard downshift.
yeah.
And I think for me, and it's just the plot that I like the Britishness of Paddington. I think that's where a lot of the charm comes from. So seeing him in like his wild side, it didn't interest me as much. Like I like him having little adventures in London, and maybe
Yeah.
that's very limiting. But at the same time, seeing him with all the other bears in Peru and everything, it didn't emotionally take me on a journey the way the first two did. Where
It
he
didn't feel like Paddington. It almost felt like a different movie with a talking bear
it's
in
sort
it.
of, for me, it was like Toy Story 4, where it's like, where does this fit in at all?
Yeah.
And I really,
Like,
and I've told my son, like, we could watch any of the Toy Stories. I will not watch the fourth one because it almost upset me. It sounds so silly to say, but it's just so off the rails of what I love about Toy
like,
Story.
like
And
a
I
perfect
just,
point there. Li- Like a trilogy should do something to kind of connect everything together into like one. And when you set it in a different place, it's like, well, now we're gonna have a completely different storyline, and like it doesn't match the tone, the feelings of the other one. And I'm not saying just because a different director took over this. And it's funny, I noticed this too when I was doing some research. It was inspired from what is there now? The movies from Werner Herzog, Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and
and
Fitz Ricardo.
Fritz Corrado, yeah.
The story was
it's obvious that there was a different writer. It's a very different tone. I will say, and I was kind of bored during it. It
okay.
sort of came back around at the end when he makes the comment about I
Well,
want to be where my family is, and he's talking about the Brown family and not the Bears. Then I was like, okay, now I'm starting to feel some feels. Like now this kind of feels like Paddington again.
one thing
But
I did not like. Sorry for interrupting you there, Amy.
oh no, it felt strange. One thing I will say, and it's hard because I was like, oh, the last movie I saw Antonio Banderas in was Baby Girl. So
Oh, with Nicole Kidman.
so I was like, but I will say, and this is a total random. I do this sometimes. I just bring up random points, but I was like, he gets better with age. That Antonio
Yeah.
Banderas, he is looking very handsome these days. And so I thought that, and I thought he seemed like he was having fun, and he, was kind of over the top and campy, but that made it fun. But just overall, it just felt different. I didn't get those feelings that I got in the first two. And the first two were so beautifully connected because as much as I love the second one more than the first one, you obviously can't. It established everything so well. So it
Well,
seems like a step up, and this seemed like three steps down.
Exactly. It's a lesser movie than like the first one because I think it tries to set up too many villains and whatnot with this one because it kind of establishes that the Antonio Banderas character is the villain, but he can be changed around. But having the Olivia Colman character as like the nun who's going to secretly betray everyone, that felt like off. It's kind of like when Spider-Man 3 had their two villains going on. I'm like, no, have one established villain and just go on from there and be good. Because I felt
And
like,
I feel like we know that she's a villain way too early in the movie. The reveal
yes,
on that should have been much further along.
yeah, oh,
Because she
and
seems suspicious right off the bat.
she does, she does, and I just thought the whole like even her character dynamics just doesn't seem to match up anything at all. So I just like watching her because I just watched her acting, and this is probably the only movie that I've seen Rachel Ziegler in that probably didn't annoy me. I don't know because she played Antonio Banderas' daughter, and I thought she was fine.
Wait, no, that's
Yeah,
not her.
is that her? I thought. Wait,
No, I don't think so.
am I off of my casting here? Wait. No, okay.
I don't
You are
remember her
totally
name,
right.
but
I apologize, people. Believe it, Coleman. Bit. Wait, what is it not?
it's hang on, let me
I'm
see.
looking at my cast right now.
Peru. Her name's Gina. Sorry, the character's name is Gina, played by. Why isn't she top billed?
She's not top bill. Oh my gosh. Okay, I just not that important because I do not see her at all. Oh yeah, sorry, Carla Taus. I apologize immensely.
Yes.
I really thought that was Rachel Ziegler. Wow, I'm a horrible
Her
host
character
here.
wasn't even that interesting. Like
No, she.
it could have been much more interesting. Like the other prisoners in the jail were more interesting than that character. Like the guy in the jail who's like the politician guy, like one of the background guys. All of those were better developed and more interesting than this guy's daughter. And that was a big part of the plot.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, did I miss her? We talked about Mission Impossible a bit earlier. Haley Atwell was in this. I forgot who she played.
Yes, she plays Henry Brown's new boss. She's like this
the American.
risk analyst expert who's like, embrace the risk, Mr. Brown. And then so that's what inspires him to go on the trip to Peru to deal with the spider, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Oh. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I've only seen this movie once for like an advanced screening, and seeing Paddington on the big screen was a lot of fun. And I was like, all right, sweet. I'm good to see my Brown family in a new adventure. And I'm like, oh wait, this is not the same Brown family. And even the kids, I don't think they get much of a plot in this movie as they do in the other ones. I mean, am I wrong? Do they actually get any type of character?
It's pretty minimal. There's a moment where, especially for Judy, I feel like she's underplayed. There's a part where toward the end, Jonathan gets to have a little moment where he like invents a contraption and it fixes something with the plane. But yeah, I do feel like the two kids were underused in this, kind of at the expense of Paddington kind of traipsing through the jungle. I don't know. Look, I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna really study it through a screenwriting lens. But I don't think it's quite as bad as a lot of. Well, also, one of my friends, he made a letterboxed review that said Paddington 3 makes Paddington 1 look like Paddington 2.
Yes,
Which I thought was pretty funny. But I don't know, like I think people are too hard on the movie. It's not perfect. It certainly has its flaws, especially compared to Paddington 2, which is a perfect film. So, it's hard to compare the two, but if you can isolate it a little bit away from the other ones, and even up against the other ones. I don't know. Maybe I'm a Paddington and Peru apologist, but I think I just love to see Paddington in a movie, and therefore I'll just go easy on it. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
I
what's
don't hate the
happening.
movie. I
But
do not hate the movie. I wasn't bored watching it. I enjoyed it. I liked the little antics. I loved it when Paddington's trying to get a comfortable spot on a hammock, and it doesn't work for him.
Pretty
Um,
funny.
I probably laughed a lot at that moment. Like any type of moment where there's physical comedy going on was good. When Antonio Banderas' character has like a change of heart and decides to do good for his kid, I thought that was sweet and everything. Yeah. Uh, Overall, I think I'm just getting my ratings right now out of the way, and out of the wonderful marmalade jars that I'm holding here right now in my hand, I would give Paddington 3 out of yeah, we're gonna go out of 10. It's gonna be like a solid like 5. Yeah, 5.5. Yeah,
5 out of
5.
10. That's an F.
It's not what 5. Okay,
50,
fine.
50%.
Sorry, you're right. You're right. Out of 10, you're right. That's bad. Change of heart there. So out
I
of
mean,
10
it's
marmalade
up to
jars,
you.
I'm we're gonna make this an easy like 7.5.
I was gonna give it an 8. 8 out
Okay.
of 10 jars
Oh
of
wow!
marmalade. Yeah.
I'd give it like a 2. I don't think I'm ever gonna watch
Wow,
it
Whoa.
again.
2.
I
Wow, that
really did not
low.
like it. I really did not like it.
Well, what I mean, was it? Just the casting of Emily Mortimer? What
It
was
was
there's just
the story didn't grab me. It definitely lacked a lot of the charm. The background characters weren't funny like they were. Like I said, I love those scenes where he is in prison are so funny, and all of the different little criminal guys who all had their own little, like the political guy, I'd still like your votes. Like,
yeah.
it was so good. And this is like, there was really nothing about it that I really loved.
That's fair.
And the plot, it was kind of, I was kind of bored by it, and it felt like homework. And it's sad because I didn't want to feel that way. I thought it would be better than it was, but
See, like I feel like my ratings now are trying to kind of change when I watch it again. I was teetering on that 5 and like 7 there, so I might change my back down to like a 6 or so. Because I enjoyed watching it. When watching theaters, I had never felt any like boring. And even though we don't get our same characters we get, I miss the neighbors that we have in the first and second movie, and they're not really appearing in this one. Yeah,
I mean, the
it
woman
just
at the newsstand had a whole story in the second one.
yeah.
With the
Yeah.
dates, and there's plenty of other fish in the sea, and
Oh, it's
like
right. I forgot about
all
her.
of those characters were so interesting. And then in this one, you have the guy's daughter, so but they did nothing with it. There was nothing remarkable about this character.
Yeah.
I don't even remember
Yeah,
what
I
her name
tend to
was, and I
agree.
watched the movie yesterday. So like, it could
Tina, I
have
think.
been so much better. Maybe if they had had the original writer and director and all that, it would have been better.
Fair enough there.
I
I
don't like
don't
the fact that it was set in Peru because I don't care about his life in Peru. I just want to see him doing cute things in London.
that. Well, I'm sure the fourth one he'll go to Canada, all right, or Detroit. Ooh,
Oh.
I want to see. Oh, here's my pitch here. I want to see a remake of Beverly Hills Cop with Paddington.
That would be adorable.
Wait, does
Oh
Paddington
yes,
have to be a cop though?
doesn't have to be a cop. All right, I don't know. Like he starts in Detroit, or he's in London and has to go to Beverly Hills
But
to find out who killed his best friend.
he could make the cops like empathetic.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
think
they're all
that's
these jerks,
possible.
and then they meet Paddington and they start realizing like, hey, people are humans and let's treat people with dignity.
I mean,
And
if anyone could do that, it is Paddington.
That's true.
you know what I'm saying? Like he had them when they were eating all the food and they were all like, oh, I make a delicious meringue pie.
Oh.
And that was the cutest. He could do that for cops and be like, can't we all just get along? And he'd make like little marmalade treats for all the prisoners and stuff. Like that would be adorable. And he would soften their hard, sadistic hearts.
Did we get your score for Paddington in Peru, Caitlin? I wasn't sure.
I said 8
8,
out
okay.
of
Yep.
10, but because also, like, if I'm comparing this movie to just any other movie, even though it's not nearly the best Paddington movie, and I agree, the weakest of the trilogy, it's still better than, I would say, most of the slop that gets churned out into our eyeballs.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
That is also true.
I can't
Yeah.
complain that hard. So 8 out of 10, whereas Paddington 2 honestly gets a 15 out of 10.
Yeah,
So if we can
I
rate
can't
it on
argue with
that
that.
scale.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to read some comments that our listeners left about Paddington before we close up our shop here. Over on the Twitter sphere, yeah, I'm probably on Twitter. I don't give a shit. Over on Twitter, Cinemigos podcast said, "Have always heard that these were really good, but I've never seen them." Cinemigos, all right. I will be on your show, and I'm sure Caitlin will be on your show, and Amy will be on your show until I talk about how great these movies are again, because definitely gonna watch them. And then the Film Rage podcast, speaking about Film Rage and Rage Corner, Film Rage, they said they are great. 2 is the best, followed by 1, and the newest one is good, but both as but not as good as the first 2. Sally Hawkins is missing. Yes, agree with that. And then Rules of Justice says, we have one host that loves them. Let's call him R. Rodriguez. No, that's too obvious. Ryan R. And of course, that's our buddy Ryan Luis Rodriguez. Check out his other podcast, One Track Mind, that looks at the audio commentaries on DVD discs, and it's good stuff. So yes, check that out there. Big huge thank you to our wonderful panel here. Thank you, Caitlin from the Bechdel cast. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And want to thank Amy Thomason from Women in Session. Before we go, I want you to plug upcoming episodes. We are recording this a tad, early. This episode will probably, if you're a Patreon member, you're going to get this episode way early in advance. But our regular listeners, we're probably not going to get this episode until, I want to say, probably near the end of June. All right. So like the last week of June. So anything you want to plug about upcoming shows?
If you're interested in taking my screenwriting class,
yes, please, yes.
I have one coming up in my intro class in starting in August. You can go to CaitlinDurante.com to get more information about that and to register. But yeah, otherwise, I don't even know what episodes we'll have coming out around then. But check out the Bechdel cast and you'll find out.
And I'll make sure to put links in our show notes about where you can find episodes of the Bechdel cast, as well as Caitlin Durante's website, so you can sign up for her screenwriting cast. Amy, what's going on over at Women in Session? What new stars are you going to be talking about?
Last night we did Marilyn Monroe, and specifically the costume designs in her movie, and we debated on which is the more iconic dress, the pink Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend dress or the white halter dress from 7-Year Itch. And next week we are recording another literature on film. We will be discussing versions of Taming of the Shrew, including the Franco Zeffirelli version and 10 Things I Hate About You.
I was going to say 10 Things I Hate About You better be there.
Which I am very excited. Technically, it's one of those I don't really have to watch it again, but if I have an excuse to watch that movie, I am going to watch that movie.
The only adaptation I know about the Taming of the Shrew was an episode of Moonlighting with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd, and they do the whole Taming of the Shrew in one of the later seasons. And I just remember there was a song that David, Bruce Willis' character, sings this whole song, and that's my first ever introduction to that story. Was that episode of Moonlighting? Yeah. Yeah, very cool. I'll post links in the show notes about where you can find episodes of the Insession Film Podcast. So thank you everyone for watching. And before I do go right now, I gotta do this. I would give a special shout out to all of our wonderful Patreon members. Like I mentioned before, if you're on Patreon, you did this episode way early before anyone else. You're probably gonna get this episode at least a good, probably 3 weeks in advance while we're releasing new episodes because we've been on hiatus for a while. So shout out right now to one of our Patreon members, Jeanette Miller over on the Twitter sphere at aka Jeanette. Jen McQuaid from Shot and Applaud. Ladies, I miss your show. I hope you're listening to here because I keep asking you, please come back because I really want you to come back on the air. Jason Soto from Rabbit Hole Podcast. Very cool. I know I'm going to be on an upcoming episode. Probably not till like late August, talking about the film Twister. And check our old episodes we did called The Rotten Truth over at rabbitholepodcast.com. Author Christian Hurst, who wrote the book Lily Starlin and The Voyage of the Salamander. Check out our episode we did with Christian. That was a lot of fun. And with thank Steve W. Steve, you don't have a website, you're not on social media, but you give me money and I love you. Thank you, Steve. Matt and Ashley from Mashley at the Movies, appreciate you very much. Donnie Roberts over at Cage's Kiss. Donnie has done the Diet Choice episode where he comes on and talks about a movie he loves. He's going to be featured on much more episodes coming up. We're definitely going to be doing a comparison between The Exorcist and Exorcist Believer just to torture ourselves. I don't know why, but we're going to do that. And then Linda Castro from Bedknobs and Broomflits. Thank you all very much. Big thank you and a wonderful round of applause to our wonderful guests here. I just cannot thank them enough. Cheer for all right. Thank you very much, everyone. And we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.